Hello. Today we're going to continue talking about common class activities. Today we're talking about listening and reading out loud. This is a very common way for your teachers to introduce you to new vocabulary and new stories. So, oftentimes a teacher will read you a new story while you just listen, and then your teacher might ask you to repeat after her either new vocabulary or sentences. So you'll take turns reading out loud in other activities in this category. So you will get reading, listening, and speaking practice. So an example would be your teacher hands you a worksheet with these words on it. All of these worksheets are borrowed from elcivics.com, a wonderful website that has a lot of free worksheets and activities for English learners of all ages. So I'm the teacher now. I'll say, class, just listen. Get out your worksheet, read along with me, but just listen. Don't write anything down. Job interview. Dora is a receptionist. She has worked at the same company for 5 years, but now she wants a new job. She saw an ad in the newspaper for a job that pays good money. They are looking for a secretary. She called the company and made an appointment for an interview. So it's as simple as that, just listening. Now your teacher may ask you to listen a second time and to circle or underline words that you don't know. This is a great word to learn new words. So as the teacher reads through, so to circle means to put a circle around or underline. There's not really a difference, whichever is easier for you. So maybe you don't know the word receptionist, and after the teacher is done reading through, you can ask about it. Or company, what's a company, teacher? But remember, make sure you're asking about these words after the teacher is done reading through, because we don't want to interrupt. Or what is an ad? That's a small word, and I feel like I should know it, but I just don't, and that's okay. Or newspaper, because that's funny. It looks like two words I know, but do they mean something different when they're put together? I watch the news and I write on paper, but what is newspaper? And your teacher may even say, well, if you know those two words, like what do you think it means together? So then next there's just appointment. That's a big word. Maybe I'm wondering about that. Good. So circling and underlining words you don't know. Sometimes if you are going through a unit with vocabulary, your teacher may ask you to circle vocabulary words that you see. Or if you're studying some grammar, maybe your teacher will ask you to circle all the adjectives or the past tense verbs. So this is a great practice to be able to listen, read along, and then mark words, either circle or underline words that your teacher asks you to. But in this case, in the beginning classes, a lot of times it's just words that you don't know. Good. Your teacher may ask you to read and repeat. A read aloud activity. And this gives you speaking and pronunciation practice, as well as listening to the different rhythms and timing and enunciation and emphasis in the English language. It is 8:30. And then your teacher will pause and maybe gesture to you, point to you, and you as a class will repeat, it is 8:30. And Irma is at work. I pause, and then you will say, and Irma is at work, as the students. She is using a computer to check her email. Good, so that's an example of how the teacher will read a chunk of a sentence or a small sentence and then pause to let you repeat. Many times this is done as an entire class. He won't ask a single student to repeat yet. But maybe as students get more comfortable, he or she will call on a specific student. Another example, the teacher may hand you, so this is moving more into the reading section. Another example, the teacher may hand you a worksheet that looks like this and just say, read this to yourself for a bit, find words you don't know, or just get an idea, look at the picture, tell me what you think it will be about. So read to yourself just means reading in your head silently so you don't distract other students. So you would read this worksheet. And then the teacher may ask you questions afterwards or have you get into groups and talk about questions. So this is reading. Now a teacher may say, can you read this for us? She'll call on a student, like, Jose, can you read the first paragraph for us? The first paragraph. It was very common in our classes to take turns to switch students who read by paragraph. So this is the word paragraph. And so it just means a section of sentences that are related. And you can tell we have two paragraphs, one here and one here. You can tell the difference of a paragraph because a new line begins and there is an indent. So this is an indent. So indent, indent. So one student would read the first paragraph and then another student would read the second paragraph. That way more people get turns reading out loud. They can work on their pronunciation. And a lot of times teachers take this time when students are reading out loud to correct your pronunciation, which can always be scary to be corrected in front of the entire class, but it's for your own benefit. If you have a lot of problems with your teacher correcting you, you feel maybe too harshly or being too mean about it, that might be something to talk to them about separately after class. So, good, pronunciation. Oh, there's paragraph again. All right. So, in reading out loud, you may also be asked to read with your partner. So you'll have one other student that you're paired with, either in a breakout room in our Zoom sessions or in a classroom if we ever go back to in person. And so you will read one paragraph, and it's your job to let your partner read the second paragraph, and then you will switch. Your partner will then read the first paragraph, and you will read the second. So you both get turns reading all of the words. The same deal with reading in a group. If you have a group of 3 or 4 or 5 students, make sure everybody gets a turn to read at least one paragraph.